Welcome to today's lesson. Today, I'd like to teach you some rules for divisibility. And these rules, I hope, will end up helping you multiply and simplify fractions more efficiently. So today's learning target is I can use divisibility rules to help me simplify fractions more efficiently. Today, in part one, we're just going to learn what those divisibility rules are. And then tomorrow, we'll apply them and start using them when we multiply and simplify. So what is a divisibility rule? Well, it turns out that in math, there are certain rules that we can memorize that will tell us, just by looking at a number or doing a very quick calculation, if a number is divisible by another number. And so I'm not going to ask you to memorize these divisibility rules yet. I'm going to give them to you on a digital piece of paper. I'm going to ask you to have these rules out in front of you, so to speak, on a separate tab as you work. And so as you do today's practice, you can look back at the rules over and over again as often as you need to. So don't worry about that part. Don't worry about memorizing. All right. Let me give you an example. Let's just start with this first divisibility rule that's here on the screen. As you can see in this column, this is the number we're looking at. So we're going to see, how do we know if a number is divisible by 2? Okay. And the way we know that here in this column is because the last digit of any number, if it's an even number, that is, if the last digit is 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, then we know the entire number is divisible by 2. For example, look over here at the examples. 752. We look at the last digit, which is highlighted in red. That last digit is even. It's the number 2, right? It's on our list. And so we know the entire number, 752, is divisible by 2. That's pretty cool, huh? Another example, 300,678. The last digit is 8 here in red. That means the entire number is divisible by 2 because the last digit is an even number. Same here with 890. The last digit is 0. 0 is an even number. It's on our list of even numbers. And so the entire number, 890, is divisible by 2. All right? So looking at the last digit and determining whether or not it is an even number that is divisible by 2, 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, will tell you if the entire number is divisible by 2. Now, similarly, we can look at that last digit as a divisibility rule for a couple other numbers too. So check this out. Oop. Let me grab. Let's look at the number 5 here. Do you see this? Now we're going to look at the number 5. How do we tell if a number is divisible by 5? Well, almost exactly like the divisibility rule for 2, in this case, we're going to look at the last digit again, but this time we're going to look to see if it's 0 or 5. If the last digit of a number is 0 or 5, then the entire number is divisible by 5. So check it out. Example number 1, 670. Look at that. The last digit is 0. So the entire number, 670, is divisible by 5. And another example here, 735. The last digit is 5. So the entire number, 735, is divisible by 5. How about that? We can look at the last digit as another divisibility rule. Check this out. Look way down here at the bottom of the screen now. The number 10. How do we tell if a number is divisible by 10? Well, this one's almost the simplest. We can look to see if the last digit is a 0. If the last digit is a 0 in any number, it is divisible by 10. Example, 8,740. That number has 0 as the last digit, and so therefore the entire number is divisible by 10. So we've just learned 3 divisibility rules. If the last digit's even, 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, that number is divisible by 2. If the last digit is 0 or 5, that number is divisible by 5. And if the last digit is 0, that number is divisible by 10. But there are more. Let's check this out. You ready? Oh, I got to grab it here. So let me bring that down without throwing it away. And let me bring this down. Check this out. There's a divisibility rule for 3. Now, it looks a little more complicated, and I suppose it is a little bit, but not really. So the divisibility rule for 3 is this. We're going to add up. We're going to find the sum of all the digits in the number. And if that sum is divisible by 3, the entire number is divisible by 3. So for example, let's take a look at this example over here on the right, 5,673. Let's add up all the digits in that number. So we're going to add up the 5 right here. We're going to add up the 6. 5 plus 6 is 11. Plus 7. 11 plus 7 is 18. Plus 3 more. 18 plus 3 is 21. The sum of all 4 of these digits, 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 3, is 21. Is 21 divisible by 3? Well, it sure is. 7 times 3 is 21. 21 divided by 3 is 7. And so that means the entire number, 5,673, is divisible by 3. So in this case, we add up all the digits, find that sum, and if that sum is divisible by 3, the entire number, the original number that we're looking at, is also divisible by 3. So we can do a very similar thing for 9. We can test for the divisibility of 9. How about this? Check this out. I go up here. I'm going to bring this up. Let's look at 9 down here at the bottom again, okay? So just like the test for 3, the divisibility test for 9 is we add up all the digits in the number, and if that sum is divisible by 9, well, there you have it. The entire number is divisible by 9. Here's an example, 378. Do you see that I'm circling down here in the bottom right corner? So we're going to add up 3 plus 7 plus 8. That's 18. 18, is that divisible by 9? Sure is. 18 divided by 9 is 2. 2 times 9 is 18. Thank you, reflex math. Once again, coming in handy. All right. So now we've talked about 2 sets of divisibility rules. We can look at the last digit to test for the divisibility of 2, 5, or 10. We can look at the sum of all the digits to see if that sum is divisible by 3 or 9. That's pretty cool, huh? Let's talk about 6 now. We've talked about 3, 2, 3, 5, 9, and 10. Let's talk about 6. So if we take a look at the divisibility rule for 6, we find that we kind of already know it, don't we? Oh, let me bring it up here. We kind of already know it. The divisibility rule for 6 is if the number, do you see this? We're testing for 6 now. If the number is divisible by 2 and 3, then it's also divisible by 6. So in order to test for the divisibility of 6, you need to first test for 2 and 3. If the answer is yes to both of those, well, here you have it. It's also divisible by 6. So here's an example, 8,862. All right. Well, we can look at the last digit. It's a 2. So we've tested for divisibility of 2. Sure is. 2 is an even number. Now let's move on to the divisibility test for 3. Add up the digits. 8 plus 8 plus 6 plus 2 is 24. Is 24 a number divisible by 3? Sure is. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So that means since 8,862 is divisible by both 2 and 3, it's also divisible by 6. Ta-da! All right, just a couple more to talk about. Let's see here. I think actually, I keep forgetting to click on the pointer. All right, we're not going to do 7. We're not going to do 8. I think that's it. Oh, no, wait, 4. We can learn 4. 4 is pretty easy. Check this out. You want to know about 4? Let's do 4. All right. So 4 is slightly different than these first 2 groups of rules. We're not going to look at the last digit, and we're not going to look at the sum of the digits. Instead, for the number 4, to test for that divisibility, we're going to look at the last 2 digits, and we're going to pretend like they're their own number. So in this example, 7,624, we're just going to look at the last 2 digits, 24. Pretend like 24 is its own number. We're not going to add them. We're just going to look at 24. And we're going to ask ourselves, is 24 divisible by 4? Yes. 24 divided by 4 is 6. There it is. And so that means 7,624 is also divisible by 4. What do you know about that? That's not too bad, is it? All right. Don't feel overwhelmed. Check this out. I'm going to go ahead and delete these. I want to show you this sheet and go over a little bit more. Oop, I got to delete them this way. Delete and delete. Okay. Now, there are a lot of rules here. I know this looks busy and complicated, but it's not. We just talked about all the rules with a gold star. Okay? Those are the ones that are highest priority. Those are the ones that I want you to really learn first and learn best. And I threw in 4 because at the last minute I thought, you know what, 4 is not too bad. That's a silver star. Okay? But it's these 6 gold star rules that I really want you to learn well, as quickly as you can, as well as you can. All right? And I've coded the rules with blue squares, green triangles, red circles, and orange trapezoids or squiggly marks. And that's for 7. 7's its own little thing. You don't want to know about 7. Holy moly. All right. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to remind you visually that the rules for 2 and 5 and 10 all go together. They're all very similar. You look at the last digit, right? And the rules for 3 and 9 are very similar. You add up all the digits and you look at that sum. And then the rule for 6, well, that's a combination of 2 and 3. I probably should have used both, just 2 and 3, right? Would have made more sense than a red dot. Anyway, that's what I did. So, and then the 4, the silver rules for the number 4 and 8, those are a little bit trickier, I guess. So I put them separately. If you learn them, great. It's good to know them for sure. And then 7, the bronze star. The divisibility rule for 7 is almost not worth the time and energy. You can almost do like the long division if you just put 7 as the divisor, and it'd be quicker. I'm not going to read it. I'll let you read it if you want. Pause the video and read it if you want. It's a bit of work. So 7, you can just forget about if you want. All right. So let's apply these. This practice right here is exactly like or very similar to what you're going to do today for practice. Now, you're going to have your divisibility rule sheet out in front of you or on a separate tab, okay? And you're going to refer back to it. You don't have to have memorized anything. I'm not asking you to memorize. I'm asking you to apply, to use the rules, okay? So let's take a look at our first number, 45. We're going to test for divisibility for 2, 3, we can do 4, I guess, 5, 6, 9, and 10. And if you want to skip 4, I suppose you can. Let's start, okay? The divisibility rule for 2. Do you remember what that is? Yeah. Look at the last digit, and if it's even, 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, then the number is divisible by 2. Is it even? It's not. 5 is an odd number, and so we're going to put a big red X in that square. Not divisible by 2. 45 is not divisible by 2. Now let's test for 3. Is 45 divisible by 3? Well, the rule for 3 is we got to add up. Oh, no, we're going to, add up all the digits, right? So 4 plus 5. Let's see. 4 plus 5, that's 9. Now we look at that product, 9. Is 9 divisible by 3? Yes, it is. So we're going to make a big green check mark there. 45 is divisible by 3. Let's check. Let's skip 4 for now. Let's check for 5. Do you remember the rule for 5? Yep. So the divisibility rule for 5 is look at the last digit. Is the last digit a 0 or a 5? Sure is. It's a 5. That means this whole number 45 is divisible by 5. Nice. Now, do you remember the divisibility rule for 6? Well, we have to look to see if this number 45 was divisible by 2 and 3. If we see 2 green check marks because it is divisible by both 2 and 3, then yes, we'd put a check mark here. That number is also divisible by 6, but we don't. 45 is divisible by 3, but not by 2. And so therefore, it is not divisible by 6. 9. Do you remember the divisibility rule for 9? You got it. We're going to add up the digits. 4 plus 5. And we're going to get 9. Is 9, that sum, divisible by 9? Sure. 9 divided by 9 is 1. So yes, 45 is divisible by 9. And 10. We're going to look at the last digit again and ask ourselves, is that last digit a 0? Nope. And so this number 45 is not divisible by 10. So big red X mark. This is exactly what you're going to do with your work today. You're going to take a number and test it for all these divisibility rules. Okay. Oh, do you want to do 4? I suppose we could do 4, right? All right. So if we think back to the rule for 4, we might remember, or you're going to be looking back, but I remember that. We're going to take the last 2 digits, right? And we're going to see if that number is divisible by 4. And of course, the last 2 digits of 45 are the only 2 digits of 45. And 45 is not divisible by 4. 4 times no whole number will end up getting us 45. And so we are going to put a big red X mark there. All right, let's skip 369. I think this video has gone long enough. I want to get you started. 2 tabs today. One has your divisibility rules. One has the work that's going to look very much like this. Flip back and forth. Let me know if you need help. Okay?